Brahman and Bruhman podcast. And we've got a special guest on this week. Hope I don't mispronounce your name. Matt Caruana. There we go again. Excellent, excellent. And we've got a special topic, this podcast. The topic is mental illness. And you've got a special story with mental illness.
Yeah. For me, it started when I was 12 years old. I've always been a curious person, ask a lot of questions. For some reason, when I was 12, I asked myself, well, what's the meaning of my life?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how to answer it, and that really bothered me. So I asked myself another question. Well, if I was going to dead, would anything here really be different? Would anything change? I didn't know. I was alive. So I asked myself a third question. Well, am I a valuable part of society? Mm-hmm. And that's when it became really clear for me, right? I was 12 years old, had no job, lived at home with my parents. I was just taking up space, really. Right? Mm. That meant for me, well, if I was gone and dead, nothing here would really be different. There would be more space for someone else who has meaning and purpose in their life. And which ultimately then meant for me that my life meant nothing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not like that. I dwell on those questions for hours trying to change the response I had. I couldn't come up with anything different. So I became depressed. No one in my family spoke about like being upset, being frustrated, anything like that. So I did the same thing. I kept to myself and was always considering suicide. How do I go about it? Why do I deserve to be alive anymore? And not long after, I fell into drugs, addiction, dealing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when I was 16, I threw myself off a building to attempt suicide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I wanted to, quote unquote, change my answers by doing that. And I woke up in the hospital 2 weeks later.
Wow. Man, that's...
Yeah.
So you've been dealing with this for quite some time, huh? So you really start having some things pop up when you were younger, and these ideas in your head about that the world would be better off without you around. Where do you feel like that came from somewhere? Or I mean, did you see some things around you, or just you just felt like it just was just popping up inside your head?
I mean, I'm not sure if being brought up and raised Catholic had a big part in that. I don't know. I mean, all I know is like growing up like in a Catholic school and all that stuff. Like we're always told the Bible and is the way to life, and that your what's it called, purpose, God and all that stuff. And it's like I'm not trying to be religious, but like that didn't help me, and because I didn't agree with that.
Okay. Yeah. No, I might have had a similar experience with growing up in my family with Indian cultures and values and ideals pushed upon me that I didn't necessarily agree with as well. And it really challenged my ideals. But you said there were some questions that popped up in your mind. And it was 3 questions that you mentioned earlier. Could you just repeat those questions again that you asked yourself?
Yeah, so what was the meaning of my life? If I was dead, would anything change? And was I a valuable part of society? Basically, it was in that sequence of like, I didn't know how to answer the first question, didn't know how to answer the second one, so I asked another one, which gave me clarity.
And what age were you when you asked yourself those questions? 12. To me, I mean, that's like a spiritual awakening you're having at age 12. I mean, you're starting to ask those questions that a lot of people don't ask themselves until way later in life. And so, I mean, naturally, you're going to feel like you don't belong. And I mean, so would you agree? I mean, that it was a bit of a spiritual thing that happened to you there?
I'm not sure. Like spirituality to me at the time meant nothing. And all that, I mean, I suppose that it in a way, like my eyes were sort of opening to some, I would say, in that sense, it was somewhat of a spiritual awakening. I was very much I just couldn't figure it out. Why were we all here? There had to be a reason. And everyone has a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Everyone has a purpose. What's mine? What's mine? Everyone was smiling. They must have theirs. So why wasn't I happy?
Why was I feeling complete? Definitely.
That's it.
So tell me a little bit about what happened after. So you're 16, you jump off of a building?
Yeah.
How high is the building?
Roughly 30, 35 meters, laying on concrete.
And so then you boom, you think you're gone. 2 weeks later, you wake up in the hospital. Take me through what's going through Matt's mind at that time, and then what happened after.
There was only one thought I had, and it really angered me, right? You know, I wanted one thing. I only wanted one thing. I mean, the fact that I failed, how pathetic am I now? This frustrated the shit out of me. Pardon the French, but man, I never hated myself more for the fact that, you know, I was that pathetic. I couldn't even succeed at the one thing I wanted to do right. So that was heavy on my mind. Now, a month into hospital, I finally was out of the ICU and I was upstairs in the spinal ward. Everyone in there is a lot older than me. I was a baby, right? I was 16. Everyone, same question, Matt, what happened to you? Why are you in hospital? You're so young. People that come to visit me, even if they knew, some of them still ask, Matt, why are you in hospital? What happened? You okay? And even complete strangers I never met in my life, you know? Why are you in the wheelchair? What happened to you? Everyone wanted the exact same question. It really, really got to me, right? I always said the same thing. I had an accident. The most I would ever tell you, if you're pressing, was I had a fall. I couldn't come to terms with the fact that I'd failed. I don't like talking. Although a week before I left hospital was actually a day that changed my life. Now, I've been bugging my mum for months while I was in hospital. Mum, please, I want to get these piercings on my eyebrow. I really want them. And she finally said yes. She didn't like piercings, but she's like, Matt, whatever, go for it. And so I was with my mum, got them done, and I was actually happy that day. And there was a train ride back to the hospital. Halfway through the trip, this guy comes on. I've never met in my life. Looks to his right before he even sits down. What did you do to yourself? Just, why is it abrupt as? And I swear, it was a mixture of how abrupt he was and how happy I was in that moment. The first time I said I attempted suicide, give me a funny look. I said, look at you, that was pretty fucking stupid, wasn't it? And just, I let it out. And I didn't know how to react because he was just laughing at the time. So I giggled with him, but I realized the next morning I woke up with a sense of energy that I hadn't felt in as long as I could remember. And for the first time, I went and saw my social worker. I even went for her to chase me up. You know, I spoke with her, showed off the piercings, and then going to the guy on the train, how that made me feel, all that stuff. And that's when she's like, Matt, maybe just getting that off your chest. I mean, you've been lying to people now for 4 months, you said, right? Maybe just got things off your chest, man. Things a bit lighter. But what if, Matt, you were to open up to the people close to you in life? Could you potentially strengthen the relationship you already have with them? Now, when she said this, and I remember those words so vividly, it really hit me. So I didn't like that. I didn't like talking. I didn't want to hear that. But she made a good point about the guy on the train and how I was feeling. So I gave it a crack. I started with my girlfriend at the time, and we became closer. And so she was onto something. I started talking to my friends. Some of my friends didn't want to deal with it, but some that valued me really stuck around. We became close friends, and I still have them to this day. And there's 2 people I was never going to open up to. I swore to you I would never open up to these people. My parents. And funny enough, our relationship grew closer as well. But I mean, that was my first turning point when things really started to shift. And it's and yeah, I've had many turning points since. But that first step is always the hardest, which is opening up and reaching out and actually having a supportive network of people you can go to. It was definitely the first step for me. And
I agree.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying there's many other things that came after that, but that was just the first step that I needed.
Definitely. So finding people. So who were those people that you were able to reach out to and help you begin to tell your story and to speak your truth and make that connection with?
Yeah, so there were a few friends that I was really close to. But Then there was my girlfriend at the time as well. Her name was Viv. And then I also had my parents. My parents and I were very disconnected beforehand. We were seriously like separate. But I suppose our connection grew so much stronger. And not only did I go up to them for support, they even came to me and they were authentic with me. They would share vulnerability with me as well. And that's when I felt truly connected and really close with them. Because not only could I go to them, they could share with me as well. They became
awesome. I think one interesting thing that you even said that caught me just kind of off guard, because I mean, sometimes when we think of people that might deal with mental illness, we think of they're alone and they're on an island. So now coming out of everything, you're like, I had people to go to and talk to, but I just wasn't using them in making that connection with them. And you even had a girlfriend. So, I mean, I think that we misunderstand so much about mental illness. I mean, so what could you tell us, to help us better understand it if we were to see it in some loved ones? I mean, was it individual for you to reach out, or is there a way that people could have reached you before you got to that point that you feel?
Just to be real. I mean, that social really had a big impact on my life because she was so real, so raw with me. She didn't treat me as okay, you have depression, you have anxiety, you have insomnia, yada, yada, all these fucking labels, right? This is how I'm going to treat you. No, she was a freaking human. She treated me as the person I was. When someone wanted to support someone else, that is the most key thing. Be authentic. Stop bullshitting. There's nothing that gets to me more. Don't label people. Just treat them as the person they are, right? And on the other end of the person who is struggling, knowing that you're not alone. And the thing is, I thought I was the only one feeling this for so long. And just the support is really out there. I mean, I'm in Australia, right? So, and like, we're very fortunate. We have many organizations we can go to and hotlines and numbers we can call. There's even online, there's websites where you can talk to a counselor one-on-one, completely anonymously if you're speaking to someone. There's so many platforms out there, but I always suggest start close, your partners, your brothers, your sisters, your best friends, your parents, people close to you in life. They're going to be the ones that truly support you. Definitely. And then there's always professional support out there as well. But, sorry?
Is it also important to know people who are going through similar situations with you and have support of other people that are kind of suffering or going through the same thing?
Let me put it to you like this, and it's not to say that having those relationships are bad, but let's say you're feeling, hypothetically, if 10 was, phenomenal, great, and 1 was like rock bottom, feeling a 3 out of 10, you can only support someone up to, you can get someone to feel a 3 or below. So in that moment, you aren't feeling anything more than a 3. But if you're feeling an 8 or a 9, you can bring someone up to that level or below. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's good to have those people in your life that, you can relate to. You can, that you're not alone. It's great. Mm-hmm. But there comes, and it's really common, people who are in that state want to do their best to support other people. But the thing is, they don't hold themselves. They're not prepared to support other people. And you can only use so much energy until you run out of battery, right? And if you're exhausting your energy on someone else, when you're on a low battery, what you're going to give them is complete shit.
Yes. I love what you said that too, because it's like you got to help yourself before you can help somebody else.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I don't know if you ever read the book by David R. Hawkins, Power versus Force, and he has this scale in it. And at a certain level, there's not much you can do for anybody. You're almost like you're at such a low level that you really can't do anything for anybody. But if you can connect with somebody at a higher level, but a lot of times these people, they might not be going through what you're going through now at this current time, but they've been where you've been, they still where you stood. And I think that's what you're telling us that you found out even from your parents too as well when they started exchanging these stories with you.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Definitely. So where do we go after this? So you made the connections, you know, you woke up, the guy said, boom, the guy gave you a wake-up call and said, hey, why'd you do that? And then, you know, you got some good work from a social worker. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I'll lead into that a little bit, actually. So at the end of 2016, right, that same social worker asked me to come back to the hospital. At this stage, I'm home, and she's like, Matt, I got an opportunity for you. Would you be open to sharing your story? I'm like, what do you mean? To about 30 students at a time, she said, we have young people come to the hospital every couple of weeks or so. You would share your story. Remember that guy on the train, how that made you feel? What if you could help others help yourself at the same time? And I didn't want to do it. I didn't like talking, but she made a good point. And then my heart told me, Matt, what if you step? What if you help someone? How would that feel for you, Matt? And then that became almost overwhelming. I said yes. And February 2017 was my first time sharing. And I remember just shaking, man. Shaking. And afterwards, but the students came up to me and they said they got a lot from it. And some of them said they want to help their friends. And when I heard that, I was confused. I was excited. I was grateful. I was just stuck. I was like, all these emotions going on at once. But all I can tell you was that when I was by myself and I left the room, nothing but tears came out of my eyes for what just happened, because, you know, my dark past was now used to inspire someone else. That was massive for me. And I kept at it. I kept going to that program, kept speaking. And eventually I started running like workshops and presentations at schools, my story, but also facilitating workshops around the turning points of wisdom I've attained in my life. And then it became conferences, then the corporate world, then universities, events, and things just evolved gradually. I then got into coaching, people one-on-one, mindset coaching. I love this stuff. And I really do, because I finally found what is fulfilling to me. Right? My mission, what I do is I instruct, inspire, influence, and impact people's frame of mind for them to change their lives. That's what I do. And that's my mission, my mantra. It's where I'm at currently.
Awesome, man. That's got to feel amazing, though. So you went from feeling like you didn't have a place in this world or a purpose to kind of, you've really found your space. You found your purpose.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It feels phenomenal and fulfilling. And the thing is, those three questions now have different answers. Right? Am I a valuable part to society? Are you kidding me? I'm a speaker consultant on mindset, mental health, overcoming adversity. Did anything change? I spoke to tens of thousands of high school students, a lot, that's just high school students across Australia, that, you know, would not have been impacted if I wasn't here. What's the meaning of my life? That mission to instruct, inspire, influence.
Yes. So when you go back and think about those original questions you asked yourself at age 12, why am I here? What's the meaning of life? Do you think you've answered those questions now?
Now I do, yes. But I wouldn't change anything in my past.
Well, it's the journey that makes us what we are, isn't it?
That's exactly right. The fact that, you know, I am a paraplegic. I'm not walking at the moment. I believe I will one day. But walking now far, I mean, like, it does not outweigh it, but not even a little bit, the fact that I am living the life I am now. Mm-hmm. The fact that I have the ability and the platform to do what I do far outweighs fucking walking. I'm still progressing, but yeah, I'll get there.
If you didn't have your accident, do you think you would be where you are today, or would have discovered this talent that you have?
No, not a chance. I never liked speaking. Had things not laid out exactly how I did in my life, I would not be in the position I am today. I can guarantee you.
So was the spiritual awakening then really the questions you were asking yourself at 12? Because, I mean, you think about even the people that you're impacting, you know, through your work. I mean, you probably would have never got even to that crowd. Even if, let's say, you do become this speaker, how do you even eventually get to that crowd to tell that story? You know, it's just, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then there's also other things that came into my life eventually. Like I would what's it called? I'll be watching a YouTube video or whatever, and there's certain things that will like stick with me. I remember there's one quote that really stuck with me. Why do you let your emotions think for you? Why don't you think for your emotions? Mm-hmm. And that's when I started questioning things. Wow, do I have power over how I think and feel and act? I thought everything was based around how I'm feeling, which I have no control over. I started to take my power back. And when I started to take my power back, that's when I became, I suppose, I've used this word a lot, but empowered. I returned to who I really am.
Are there any specific habits or rituals or things you do that help you gain power, keep your power, get you into the mode? I know some of that stuff you might be coaching, but just anything specific.
Yeah. Specific things. So incantations in the morning. Now, because 95% of our subconscious is programmed before we're 12 years old, we still have that little bit we can tap into. But basically, majority of the time, it's the mornings, which as we wake up and just before we go to bed, our brain waves are slower, making us more suggestible. Yes. So we're going into these I am statements. I am powerful, I am fearless, I am unstoppable, I am certainty. These statements, and not just saying them, but feeling them and embodying them. So breathing as if I was these things, right? Then my state becomes that, and then my beliefs slowly change. Self-inflicting adversity as well is something I love. There's little bits of adversity. For example, like for me, I wake up 4:30 in the morning, almost every morning, basically, to get myself out of bed, not for a particular reason, but to build up my baseline discipline and in turn inspire other people. It's never about me. Cold showers, all that stuff. Little bits of self-inflicting adversity. And one big thing is health and fitness. I keep regular at the gym. I basically train every day. I love that stuff.
Excellent. That mind-body connection. You've got to keep it. Excellent. So moving forward, what are your plans to expand for the future and grow this vision, this business, this service of yours? So
my first plan is, so I've got me as the speaker, the coach, and all that stuff, but I want to expand it. So like, I have my business that I want to grow. Now, right now, the business is irrelevant. It's just the name I trade under. That's all it is at the moment. But I plan on expand that. So it's not just me running workshops at schools. It's other people as well. I've trained them up. They're in complete alignment with my values and what's going to go about. They're going to do workshops all across Sydney, all over Australia, eventually internationally as well. And it's all going to be based around mindset and mental health. And there's going to be people who have faced adversity themselves and overcome it, and who are extremely passionate about inspiring other people. That's just schools. I see myself traveling internationally more often for corporate opportunities as well, and also running my own workshops, so personal development workshops down the line. Because right now it is me going into places like schools, universities, corporates, all that stuff, but now my own solo stuff. Like I'm a big, Tony Robbins, DeMartini, those guys. Yeah.
Anyone in specific that's impacted you the most?
The most? Between those three, Tony Robbins, Dr. DeMartini, and Joe Dispenza. DeMartini was the first guy I saw live out of the three, and I would say he had the biggest impact on me because I was, 18. I just turned 18 at the time, and I was like, what is all this? I love this. and I when I did this breakthrough experience, I had massive amounts of realizations that probably far outweigh all the others that I've done. Yeah.
Yeah. So the accident was one thing. The accident was life-changing. But where would you be without those mentors or coaches that you just named there, and how important are they to our viewers and listeners out there?
They're extremely important. They're extremely important. The thing is, I used to think I knew it all. But little did I know, like, when I started getting into personal development, like, the more I was learning, the more I realized I didn't know. And I wanted to learn and learn and learn and learn. And so when I got a personal mentor and coach that I work with one-on-one, that's when things really started shifting, because I now had someone I could model who would coach me and show me the way, guide me, take the right steps, and become the person I am today, essentially. Very grateful.
Excellent. I agree. Personal development mentors, they've made all the difference for me in my life as well. Would definitely love to get more into public speaking. Myself been more into the podcast, but definitely I've got a lot of respect for what you're doing, what you've accomplished so far, and the fact that you're thinking about growing this service of yours globally.
That's awesome, man.
That's thinking big right there. You're looking to 10x it, as it's been said before.
That's awesome, man. How old are you right now, Matt?
I'm 21.
21, wow.
Oh,
man. I'm looking forward to your career, man. This is going to be awesome, man. It's going to be dynamite. You got a lot, man. You got a lot to give the people, and there's a lot of people out there that need it, especially after, this whole COVID-19 and everybody being locked in, and, mental health was already a major issue, but I think we got a few more dealing with it now. So people like you, Yogi Infinite, and everybody else that's on the front line is so important. So thank you for your work.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I do agree. Just, another question I have for you. Just from maybe yourself, it seems like you always keep in positive state and very high vibrations, but did you notice during the COVID, I'm not sure how bad it was there in Australia and the lockdowns. Maybe we could say that it was, but were people suffering more during the lockdown state? Were there more challenges at that time?
I would say yes, but what it really did was it exposed people, everyone. It showed everyone what's really going on, and all our drawbacks, all our weaknesses, and all our dark stuff that we tend to hide. All this came up, even for me, and so I had to. That's when I started coaching people. One-on-one as well, after I started working on that stuff within myself, and I could see it really did caused a lot of stress. People were extremely anxious, extremely bothered, and people wanted support but didn't know how to reach out for it. I could see it. Really see it.
Would you say that in society as it is, that we have a population of people that are barely holding on to their mental health, and all it takes is a little bit of a pandemic, a little bit of a change in the behavior for it to manifest itself?
Yeah, absolutely. In Australia, suicide rates went up.
Yeah, I can believe it. You're right. It definitely exposed us all and to face yourself. So the strong got stronger, and then for those that weren't doing any type of self-help or personal development, it was really some torture.
Even if people were doing personal development, the thing is, when we can't go outside, we're locked up in our own space. But with ourselves, we have nothing to go to hide and suppress what's really going on. It all comes out to deal with ourselves.
Yes.
Right, and so it's come up for everyone, and it's been more of an opportunity than anything in this period of time to really grow and to really expanding.
Excellent. Just, have you ever tried any yoga and meditation?
Meditation is something big. Like I shared Joe Dispenza earlier. He was the man that actually got me into meditation. I did a Forex trading course, so I trade Forex as well.
Ooh, you got to tell me about that later on.
Absolutely, man. We'll talk about it. I don't tell many people, but they, as part of the course, they taught us emotional mastery, and part of that was what's it called, meditation. And the guy there who taught this emotional mastery class, he was one of the I don't know what they call him, but he was qualified to teach Joe Dispenza's work to the corporate world. He was like a dozen at the time, and the first 2 times I meditated, straight to deep sleep. But the third time I had a profound realization where I saw life in the same manner again. I realized a lot about myself, that the programs have been running all my life, and it scared me. I literally I had like everything flash, like my whole life flashed like before my eyes. Split second, and I'm like flipping back and really flipping my chair and realizing shit, everyone else is meditating, but only halfway through I went back to it. that was a massive experience for me. So from that moment on, meditation became a big part of my life.
Excellent. Yeah, no, it's one of the big things that I really preach, the meditation for a spiritual practice.
People neglect their spiritual life and the ability to be present, because we live in such an instant gratification society. I feel it's very suppressing. It does not serve you. But yeah, meditation is something that really helps ground people and helps, well, for me, brought about many breakthroughs and realizations. So in my mindset, it's upgraded it tenfold.
Excellent. We're going to have to get together for a meditation one day. I took the Exalted one, Jeremiah, through one a few weeks ago. I think he was, I think he liked what he experienced there. So we're going to have to get together and do that. Man.
We have to get together and do it. Absolutely.
We'll enter the spiritual dimension together. How's that?
Sounds perfect.
Excellent, Matt. So just for anybody out there right now that's listening, that is identifying with your story, that maybe might want to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you and connect with you?
Yeah, my website is the first place you can go to, www.mattcaruana.com, mattcaruana.com. I have Instagram, just Matt Shares, and my Facebook is Matthew918, just Matthew Caruana.
Excellent. Exalted one, any thoughts, any kind of final questions, ideas?
Well, I will say, I thought of a quote when he was talking, and then it's one of my favorite quotes. Is I wrote all that I knew in the sand, and then I returned when I was a little bit older to see what that foolish boy has wrote. So I just thought that when you were talking a little bit, and I would like you to give us a quote to kind of sound us off, Matt, and just.
Mine or someone else's?
Whatever you're feeling.
There's this quote that really stuck with me. And I can't remember who said it. But I wish I came up with it. I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I'm what I think you think I am. The reason I wanted to share that was because if there's one thing I could tell myself, to younger Matt, was to follow his heart. Follow your heart. Don't allow other people's thoughts, words, or actions dictate how you think, feel, or act. Follow your heart, what's true to you. And quote seriously rings true for who I used to be. I am what I think you think I am. I was living a perception of myself. And it wasn't serving me. I was living in a reality I thought I should have. But when I started following my heart, following what was true to me, even though people say, Matt, speaking is not a real job, Matt, get real, do something proper, you'll never make it as a speaker, as a coach, and all that stuff. I followed my heart, did what I knew was right, and I am fulfilled as a result.
Excellent. Well, Matt, it's been a pleasure having you on, Matt. And I look forward to our next podcast together and getting that meditation in.
Appreciate it, brother. I look forward to it.
Excellent.
Thank you, brother. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Appreciate you. I really appreciate you guys.